you ever feel like you just can't fit healthy habits into your life? Same here. I'm a dietitian who works from home full time, is living at home with my parents, is trying to reach my health goals. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I try to find that balance in a way that is low pressure and actually realistic. So hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a registered dietitian from Ontario, Canada, and I'm currently, as I said, working full time, living at home, trying to enjoy my mid-20s and also reach my health goals and be a healthy individual. And it's a lot to try to figure out and balance. And it can feel really overwhelming sometimes to figure out how the heck do we figure all of this out. But in today's video, I'm going to take you through a day in my life where I try to show you those actual, tangible, realistic ways that I try to find that balance, especially with my health and implementing healthy habits. We're actually going to start with the nighttime. For me, nighttime is really important to set up for the next day. Doesn't mean I'm always good at it, and honestly, my night routine is what I struggle with the most, but there's a few things that are really key for me that I'm currently trying to implement to make it more realistic that I actually am able to do the healthy habits I want to do the next day. For me, part of that is actually making sure I go to bed at a decent time, so that way I'm able to wake up at a decent time to do the things I want to do the next day in the morning. But what that means is starting my nighttime routine earlier. And for me, this is really hard because in the evening is when I get caught up scrolling on my phone, which tends to push my evening routine back later. And so something that I've recently started to do to try to help with that is actually putting alarms on my phone for the time that I both want to start my nighttime routine, so go and wash my face and get ready for bed, as well as the time where I want to start reading. And so for me, having those actual alarms on my phone has been helpful to be that prompt or that cue to say, okay, if you want to wake up early tomorrow to do the things you want to do, you need to start getting ready for bed. And then within that period of getting ready for bed, a few things that I like to do, or I'm trying to do, to set myself up for the next day is planning my day ahead of time. I find at least if I write my to-do list out in advance for the next day, it makes me way less stressed the next day. So that's something that I try to do. As well as if the next day is a day that I'm going to be trying to exercise, I will make sure that my workout clothes are out. And not only are they out, but I've also picked my workout in advance. So I've written it down, or I've selected a YouTube video and added it to my watch next playlist on YouTube. Because if I do not select and actually say this is the workout I'm going to do tomorrow, it does not happen. So I need to take some time to kind of actually pre-choose, okay, tomorrow, this is what I'm doing. And then of course, doing whatever your night routine includes that works best for you. So for me, this looks like washing my face, getting ready for bed, and then maybe watching some YouTube, or right now, The Summer I Turned Pretty, rewatching and waiting for the next season to happen. And then reading. I really try not to have the last thing that I do before bed be go on my phone, so I always like to read for at least 10 minutes because that just gives me the best sleep. Now we jump to the next day. And so other than the basics of having an alarm and actually getting out of bed, which sometimes is a struggle in itself because bed is so cozy. But something else that I try to do to find the balance is exercise in the mornings. For me, I'm a morning workout person, so I like to get my exercise done before the day starts. But in terms of finding that balance, it's been thinking, what is the actual most realistic exercise that I can do? And also, what's the realistic time frame that I can do it in? Because when I was in university, I would go to the gym for maybe 1 to 2 hours in the morning, and I just don't have that free time right now. So I really thought about, okay, what amount of time to exercise feels reasonable for me to do that I can actually do in terms of getting enough sleep and enjoying my exercise and things like that. But when it comes to movement, it's all about finding what works best for you. So what does that actually look like in terms of both time and the actual activity in a way that's reasonable and realistic and feels good for you? But I have truly found that I feel so much better and more energized throughout the days when I'm actually exercising than the days that I don't, and I try to get extra sleep, even though sometimes sleep-ins are fantastic. And it's all about those small wins. So over the years, I've really learned to just be proud of myself for any movement that I do, whether it's 5 minutes of core, a 10-minute walk, or it's a 45-minute full strength training workout. Any of that is beneficial to our health and is a win in building that habit of exercising daily. Another key component of my morning is having a balanced breakfast. I am a huge breakfast girly. If I don't eat breakfast, I'm not energized for the day. And so I like to make sure that I've got a balanced breakfast that is easy and filling on hand. And so when I think about something that's filling, I'm thinking, does it have protein and does it have some fiber? And I've been so into yogurt bowls recently, probably for the past 5 to 6 weeks, honestly, which I know variety is important. That's something that I personally struggle with. So just thinking about what is the breakfast I can have that's going to make me feel energized and that's also going to be easy for me to put together. For me right now, that's yogurt bowls because they take literally less than 5 minutes. And so I've got my yogurt, my bran buds or my source of fiber, and then some chocolate chips for some flavor, and some raspberries for some fruit and some other kind of nutrients. But the fact that I can prepare that balanced breakfast that makes me feel energized, keeps me full in under 5 minutes is so key. So my takeaway in terms of breakfast is thinking about what is a breakfast that helps you to feel energized, that is low effort, that you can implement if you're a breakfast eater. But again, not everyone's a breakfast eater, and that's okay too. Okay, so now we've got setting up the night before, we've got finding movement that works for you in a realistic, reasonable way, as well as having that balanced breakfast in a realistic, reasonable way. And can't forget about the coffee either as well. That is a necessity in the morning. But the next thing that I try to do to find the balance, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, is actually take my lunch break and disconnect from my screen during my lunch break. And so now that it's summer, for me, that means hopefully on days where it's nice outside, going to eat lunch outside, typically with a book. And so enjoying my balanced meal prepped lunch that I've got, was taking some time to disconnect from my screen and do something that I enjoy for at least like 20 minutes of my lunch break to try to break up the workday and again find that balance between work, health, enjoying myself, and also being a 25-year-old girl. If we're thinking about finding the balance after work, so I feel like we've talked about those kind of healthy habits. Mainly for me, it's movement, breakfast, and lunch. Thinking about, okay, where does the fun come into all of this? And so for me, that looks like actually planning out my fun, which sounds kind of funny, but actually planning in advance, okay, this is what I want to do after work, and this is what it looks like to make sure that I actually do that thing. Because for me, if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. So even if it's something like I want to watch an episode of The Summer I Turned Pretty, or make my summer bucket list, or go on a walk with a friend, or have a FaceTime with my friends, or whatever it is, I need to put it in my calendar. So that's another way I'm able to try to find that balance, is by scheduling things out and thinking about what's something fun that I want to do, how much time do I need to do it, and when is it realistic to do. So making sure that it's kind of scheduled in my calendar. All in all, to summarize, we have chatted about, I've just got some notes here to make sure that I've got my summary down. So let's go through. So we've got setting up the night before in terms of setting an alarm to actually get ready for bed, figuring out what does that night routine look like, what time do you need to wake up for the next day, and then what can you do to set yourself up for success the next day. So setting out your workout clothes, writing your to-do list for the next day, whatever that looks like for you. And I find all of that, if I actually try to implement it, takes like 30 minutes. So taking that time to actually make sure that you're able to set yourself up for the next day. Movement that fits you. So exercising in a way that feels right for you, feels balanced, you enjoy, and is actually like a realistic time frame, and figuring out what does that look like in a way that you actually want to enjoy. Thinking about how can you energize yourself for the day in, again, a way that's low effort and balanced, and that makes you feel really good. Actually taking a lunch break and being able to relax and do something for yourself within that time that you have off to break up the day. And then making time for things that you actually enjoy and want to do after work, and figuring out what does that look like for you, and actually planning it and scheduling it in. And so to summarize even further in all of that, my main takeaways in terms of trying to find this balance between health, work, fun, would be start small. So figure out what are those tiny steps and what's the easiest place to start. Everything that I said is just a suggestion. I would not recommend doing every single thing that I just said at once. Starting small, so thinking about, is it planning my workout for the next day? Is it just setting my bedtime alarm? Is it figuring out what I'm going to eat for breakfast? That's, again, low effort and balanced. What is that first step? And then how can we build on that? My next key takeaway here is do what feels reasonable and doable for your life. If waking up 2 hours early and doing a 10-step skincare routine and a 3-hour workout and blah, 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 blah does not feel reasonable for you, that's okay. Think about what does it look like for you to have this balance in these different areas in a way that actually feels realistic and reasonable for you and your lifestyle. And then lastly, I didn't mention this earlier, but it's really important to think about, why is it important to you to have this balance? What does that look like in these different kind of areas to remind yourself as you're trying to implement these behaviors or change things, why you want to do that in the first place. And so that brings us to the end of today's video. I really hope that this was helpful to talk through some different strategies and start to kind of brainstorm different ways to find what that balance looks like in terms of healthy habits and fun and everything in small ways. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or if there's anything that we could go into in more detail in another video, like specifically night routine, morning routine, meal planning, anything like that. I would love to know what you guys think. And if you want to share any tips you have in the comments for trying to balance all of this, I would love to hear, and I'm sure everyone else would love to hear as well. Anything is always helpful. And if you want more real life, realistic health tips from a dietitian, please subscribe and follow along. But otherwise, that's it for today. So I will see you in my next video. Have a great day.